Guys, we have a huge unboxing today with not one, but two, but probably a dozen of very special pieces, odds of which you probably have never seen. So make sure you stay tuned. This is going to be a big one. I got Peter here. One of the things he did at a trade show, which we just came back from, which will explain probably close to 100 watches that are in here, that why Peter went buying Rolexes, and he went from price point to uber rare. Let's start with price point. So while at IWJG, I had you pick up. I told you, I said, Peter, I want Rolexes, and normal individual can buy it. By normal, I mean not somebody who's out there looking to spend, 100 grand up, 200 grand up, 50 grand up, but somebody that's sort of that under 10K, under 20K. And what you ended up bringing back, so what did you end up picking up? Like, let's go from the cheapest.
It's gonna be your stainless steel 36 on Jubilee. These range right around the $5,500 mark. I mean, just look at the condition. For $5,500, you're getting into a stainless steel Datejust. It's still a Rolex, it's got the name, it's got the look. Even the bezel. The bezel is white gold on all these. We have them in a few different dial variations, but I mean, how could you go wrong with that? Two tones, another great addition. Is there another two-tone? So that's the 16014, and then its counterpart, the 16013. Right, so this is your two-tone variation, 18 karat yellow gold and stainless steel. Once again, condition is everything, and even with papers.
Yeah. So, price difference between the two-tone and the stainless steel.
So the steel, I believe that we have priced, we're going to be pricing them roughly around $5,500, or $5 actually, because those are naked, no papers.
Right.
So $5 grand for the stainless steel, the two-tone with papers, you're going to be looking at close to $6 grand.
GMT-Master IIs.
I mean, it's just the money, right? So if you're going to get into a ceramic GMT, you're going to spend anywhere from what, $12,000, $13,000
and up.
And up. If you want to get a 𝗵𝗄𝗄𝗎, you're going to spend $19,000 and up. This you could get. This is the black aluminum insert, but you can get them in the 𝗵𝗄𝗎 or the Coke variation for right around $11,000 to $12,000. So this is another good pickup, right? We got a stainless steel 116-520, infamous white dial with the uber rare in the collector's world, APH dial.
Now you got to zoom in on this dial so you can explain what it is.
So, I mean, you're not even going to be able to catch it. You could see it up close with your eyes, but the last three letters in the word cosmograph, the P and the H, are actually touching.
That's so geeky.
I mean,
is there a year range? Is there, or is this really just a misprint and you just like sort of find one once in a blue moon?
No, I mean, they're definitely out there. There's a lot of people with them. I just don't think that there's a definitive number to put on it, but there's got to be, let's say a few thousand, at least 10,000 in each color, probably more. It was a print error. So this is a 116333. So this is a Datejust 41. This is not the newest reference. This is a Datejust 2, right?
Do you feel like, because a lot of people ask for the 41mm Datejust due to their size. They ask for them in various variations. Various complications. And for those that are looking for a deal, if you step down that one reference number, some of the older ones, the difference in price, would you say 10 to 20%? Or a little less?
Give or take, yeah, I would say that's a fair assumption, right? Because if you were to get a brand new Datejust 41 two-tone with a diamond dial, you're going to be around the 15,000, 16,000 plus range. This is the older reference. I'd say you're going to be close to that.
Yeah, about 10% difference.
Yeah,
this one's actually brand new with stickers.
That's actually fully stickered.
Blue Sky Dwellers, where are they at right now? I mean, we picked this up. It was a Blue Sky on a Jubilee.
I mean, they're
mid-20s from, I think the Blue Sky Dweller,
30.
Alex, Blue Sky Dweller Jubilee at the highest market, where was it?
She's about like 33 to 35.
Yeah, so they dropped about 30%, much like some of the other popular Rolexes. Oh, this new model, did you see this yet? So this is a new model from Rolex. I think the dial is, I don't know, I hope you guys can capture the dial on this, but the dial is absolutely amazing on this watch. It's a nice little 36mm ladies piece. I do like that watch.
And it's a factory bezel.
Picked this up. This was me again. Just sub 40,000 these are right now. I mean,
can't beat it.
From 60-some thousand dollars.
Yeah.
And just brings you to the next topic. The antique show was open to the public, and to my surprise, I saw the public buying from other dealers that I've spoken with. The public is coming back and they're realizing, okay, I was eyeing that watch that used to be $60,000. I'm willing to pay, now they're around 40, let's say, and whether it goes up or down 10%, they don't really care. But we have two Tiger Eyes. We have the Tiger Eye without.
Eye of the Tiger.
And this one is the one with the pavé on the bracelet. That $300,000 mark went up all the way to $550 on the wings of the Rainbow Daytona. And now they have come down to those mid 3s to high 3s. And the reason they're gonna stay here because they're just not available.
You physically can't, you have to be offered that. It's such an off-catalog piece, same thing as the rainbows.
I like the Tiger Eye better than I like the rainbow. You?
I 100% agree with that actually. The pave, the full
What?
pave.
No?
How are you gonna say no?
way.
Let's talk about the Saco. Alex, how about this? Another hot take for you. I'll take the Saco before I take the Rainbow Daytona.
That's all right. Now you're just.
No,
The one on the bracelet. The one on the bracelet with a pave dial. I actually, I don't know about you, I actually prefer the Saco on the Oyster Flex. I'll tell you why. And the minute you put a bracelet, I feel like it takes away from the watch. Where here, when it's on an Oyster Flex, the rubber bezel, I feel like it's just so prominent.
I don't know. I definitely disagree with that. I think it needs to be a full solid gold piece.
So you guys are familiar with the beach Daytonas, but there aren't just beach Daytonas out there. There's so many other. We have the blue beach, the pink beach, and I'm not gonna pull them. What's up, Thanos? It's happening with these is I mean, I remember these watches. You guys,
I remember seeing them
sub 20,000, 25,000, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And it's like, these are watches that are not going to be affected by any dip whatsoever. What's very hard for them is to get the original strap because it's impossible to get.
Correct.
The original box, which matches, so it's a pink box, green box, blue box, yellow box, right? We had the green one, we sold it. Shout out Nico. Nico actually bought that one.
Bought it.
Nico actually bought that beach, the green beach. Sodalite dial, Rubellite dial. Again, exotic dials, right? So your Sodalite dial is the blue, that's actual stone. Sodalite is a stone. Yep. In the ruby family, right? So this is a Rubellite dial, this is a Sodalite dial. Again, part of that still exotic dial collection alongside with
Meteorite.
Meteorite, but also low production because of that. Because if you guys think that Rolex has always been this crazy, they really, really do monitor the stuff that they produce and how much is sold and how much is not sold, and they produce based on that. So going back that many years, again, not many Daytonas and straps were made, period. Now, if you want to take it to the next level, if you want to look at another Sodalite dial, there are levels to this. This is the Sodalite with the Baguette bezel.
I've maybe seen 2 on the internet.
Exactly. So these are uber rare. These are gem encrusted Rolexes. A lot of them went to the Middle Eastern market, some to the Asian market. There was a ruby version done of this where they had the sideway baguettes with rubies. So again, a bit of a Daytona kick. This is something fun. I want to get your take. When this first watch came out, what'd you say?
When this watch first came out, right, because I just love sapphire bezels. Seiko, literally anything that they do with this is just super colorful and there's nothing else like it.
The market has spoken, and again, these are still rare. They're still hard to get, and again, the value is really, really up there. You cannot walk into an AD and buy this. You're going to be paying way over list to pick up one of these. I don't know what the market price on the Alex. What's the market on these now? 125 to 130, and I think the original retail on this particular version was around 80-some thousand. Speaking of rare dials, Onyx dials.
Onyx dial. It's another great one. This one's actually a lot more rare, just because of the configuration.
Right. So the configuration that Peter, well, why don't you talk about?
So the black Onyx style, usually they have no indices on them at all, right? So this one was made specifically for the Datejust model. It's black Onyx and then has a 6 and 9, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 6 and 9 Arabic with a factory stone set in between each opening.
And if you look closer, the diamond, there's actually a 6 and a 9 there. Normally it would just be a diamond marker. This time they actually did it inside the numbers themselves, the 6 and the 9. You see these on day dates. There were a lot more Onyx day dates out there than there were Datejust, which is what this is. And that's what makes it even more rare. A lot of these Onyx dials were destroyed, they were broken, they were replaced. In the wild, the original Onyx dial is a rarity to come across, especially in a Datejust. Here's the other Meteorite Daytona, and this one is on a bracelet, much like the one we showed you earlier. So I appreciate, Peter, you coming out talking to me about Rolexes, but I got some crazy things in here that I'm going to need Marco's help with. So I'm going to have you step out and Marco step in. How do you say it properly?
It's 𝗕𝗨𝗬 𝗬𝗢.
It's a perpetual calendar.
Actually, it's an annual calendar.
I'm sorry, annual calendar 𝗕𝗨 from FP Journe. Model, I believe this was produced around about 10, 12 years ago, and not really many of them were produced.
Non-current production either, which is, you know, in terms of collectability, the only calendar wristwatch FP Journe ever made, makes it very special, very unique also, because this actually has the octa movement. It's 5-day power reserve is the official listing, but power reserve is really closer to 7. The reason he says 5 is because the drop off in amplitude in the last 2 days affects the accuracy of the watch. So yeah, very special watch.
Let's dumb that down. So what happens is if the watch is fully wound, it's supposed to tick for 7 days. But Journe is such a perfectionist that he said, you know what, I'm going to list this as a 5-day power reserve, because after 5 days, the amplitude, i.e.
The torque, the amount
of torque left in a spring, or the power, I should say.
Yeah, exactly.
Terms, right, won't power the watch as accurately. That's why he only listed it for 5 days. Definitely a Marco watch.
Yes.
Let's talk about, kind of mull this over many times over, and that's the sports lines from Journe. I'm still a big fan of these due to their weight, due to the fact that this is not a typical Journe. This is a step into the sports market. What are your thoughts on this guy?
I mean, Octa Sport, so it has the same Octa movement, 5-day power reserve officially, but closer to 7 days. Aluminum movement in this, which is really interesting, adds to the lightness of the actual watch.
Let's talk about value for your dollar. Let's talk about the 5270R. For the price, more or less, of a $59.90 steel, which we just sold, you're picking up a full-blown perpetual calendar chronograph from Patek Philippe. I know, like, your heart hurts when you see what's going on with this watch. I know in your mind this is worth 10 times than any steel Nautilus.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you go into the design DNA. This definitely has all the design cues of the Patek 5970, which is, you know, probably my favorite perpetual calendar from Perpetual Calendar Chrono. But this right here I love specifically because of the bracelet. It's very like old style, almost like 𝗕𝗄𝗄𝗯𝗏's bracelet of the 1940s and 50s. You look at like old 1518s, that's what they used to have, these kind of style bracelet, almost like beads of rice, if you will. And this is the first in-house perpetual calendar chronograph movement from Patek Philippe. So long-term collectability wise, I think it's an absolute no-brainer.
And again, I always say, look for things that are they make less of.
Yeah.
And on a bracelet, there's a lot less on a bracelet than on a strap.
Yep.
In fact, it's probably at least a 1-to-20 ratio.
Oh yeah, easily. Yeah, I love this.
IWC Minute Repeater.
Yeah. From a brand like IWC, which I think is just, it's at that price point that you get a ton of value, a ton of kind of horological pedigree, if you will, and yet you're not paying the exorbitant price of a brand like Patek Philippe or let's say a Vacheron Constantin.
Is this any worse, the Minute Repeater itself?
I mean, it performs certainly the same function. Does it have the same sound quality? I mean, listen.
Let's listen to it.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's talk about this guy.
Yeah, this is Sector Dial Calatrava annual calendar. I think it's a 5326 is the reference, right? I can't remember.
It's 5396.
5396, there you
36.
go. This watch I really like specifically for the design hues. First of all, Sector Dial, which is pretty atypical for Patek Philippe. They don't really...
Sector Dial, he's referring to basically this looking like it's got sections, right?
Yep. And then you also get the blue accents. Now remember, Patek may be doing blue in a lot more quantity nowadays, but back when this was made, blue was very atypically used, typically for platinum pieces only, right?
Not typically, it was used for platinum pieces only.
Pretty
and not
much.
only that, they stuck a little diamond on the...
Correct. It was 5070 was in platinum, it was blue, 5110.
5970.
Yeah, 5970, 5110. The world time was also in blue.
This is Holy Grail of chronograph, Lemania movement, blah, 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 blah. So you had this watch that was done in yellow gold, rose gold, in white gold, and in platinum, platinum being the least amount of pieces produced. And let's talk about the Lemania movement first.
Yeah, I mean, to register chrono, Lemania-based movements, the Lemania 2310 was used by Patek Philippe, Vacheron Constantin, Breguet, Roger Dubuis, you go down the line. All the major manufacturers use this because this was a super reliable movement in the early 2000s and before. This was released in 1998, if I'm not mistaken. And also what's cool about this is this has something that Patek watches don't have anymore, which is the Geneva seal. Right? After 2008, they went into the in-house seal. This has the Geneva seal. I think makes it a little bit rare, makes it a little bit, in my opinion, more collectible because of that. So
I want to talk about your thoughts on the new skeleton.
Yeah, I mean, I saw this in the box and I was like, holy crap, this thing is insane.
So I'm having mixed emotions with them going back to the original slimmer size, right?
Right, AP being the king of skeletons. Also, this is a 50th anniversary piece, so it has a 50th anniversary rotor, which is always nice. How does it compare to the double balance wheel in your opinion? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
I am a fan, actually, I'm a fan not of the double balance.
The 15305.
The 15305, and the reason for that, because that watch is slightly thicker. The bezel seems to be thicker because the tachymeter scale kind of the inner bezel sort of like blends in. I talked about this at the trade show.
It's also 39mm size,
exactly.
which I think is better. And it's industrial looking, right? You look at a Royal Oak, it's meant to be an industrial looking watch. Yeah. The all gray look in contrast.
What they did here is they slimmed out the profile, right? I think this watch is a lot more wearable than a double balance, the 41mm, right? I think it's a lot more comfortable on the wrist. I've actually put this on the wrist while we were at the trade show. And look, I had a guy that came over to buy a Royal Oak. He ended up going with a 15202, which has the same slim profile. And only due to the fact that this is a little bit more expensive, obviously. So, but he said he was a fan. If I had to pick between the double balance and this, it would be this.
Artisan de Genève, let's just say it very easily. This is super unique watch. I really like this. So I did a prediction video in terms of what I'd like to see Rolex doing. What I'd like to see them partially doing is what they're doing today, which is, first of all, customizing, skeletonizing old Rolex models or current production Rolex models. Things like this. This is a Spike Lee edition, so it's got kind of the Brooklyn Nets colors, because Spike Lee is sorry, not the Brooklyn Nets, Brooklyn Knicks. Sorry, New York Knicks, Jesus Christ.
Knicks,
yeah, I'm completely fumbling, but yeah.
You know, people always ask me, dropping 100 grand or something like this, I always tell them the same thing. You know, this isn't that buy what you like price range, because you never know what can happen. But
if you want an atypical looking high horology Rolex, you go to Artisan de Genève.
The 5402, the original gangster, Royal Oak in white gold, extremely rare. I mean, it's obviously steel, yellow gold, two-tone. It's very rarely that you come across the white gold version of it. Yeah. This was their attempt to fix a flop. If you remember, the 5402 originally was a flop because people were saying, what the hell is this $3,000 steel watch? Are you out of your mind? So they quickly started making the two-tones and the golds, etc. And they also made the white gold with a diamond dial to sort of add value, that people would see value in it. Of course, luckily they kept the same Royal Oak design, the same aesthetics. I have only seen maybe 2 of these come across my desk in the last 20 years. The BCs, they just don't come around. You'll usually find them in auctions and things of that nature. So Audemars Piguet often has flexed their muscles in many different occasions. Horologically, no questions about it, with their grand complications, some of the one-off pieces that they made. Audemars Piguet also likes to flex their muscles when it comes to jewelry pieces, and they'll make unique pieces such as this. And if you're asking me where's the watch, I will show you. And there's the watch, right? What they do is and I've come across a few of these pieces now. Yeah. The sticker prices on these are usually insane. Yeah. $1 million plus, right? And I don't remember what the sticker on this is. Maybe it's on here. No, there's not. No, it doesn't. But they usually tend to be, you know, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 and up. They're usually one-offs. And this is a piece that will usually travel from show to show, from dealer to dealer, to be showcased until it's either bought or make it out onto the secondary market. And on the secondary market, you can pick up relatively cheap to its original retail price tag.
Yeah, it's incredible. You look at the quality, craftsmanship. There's a reason why there's not many made, is because it's so time intensive, and like to make something like that,
it's a big investment on their part as well. You know,
time, effort. It's also like it costs, right, to make.
Yeah, it does cost a pretty penny. And then last but not least, 2 more watches, and now Tiffany.
Yeah. If you know, you know, or
if you know, you know.
Yeah, if you look into it, as John Mayer said, right? If look closer, he called it the Chuck Taylor of watches, right? If you just want to wear a watch, you wear a 5164, and I mean, it's hard to argue with John Mayer in the watch industry.
And then go find a Tiffany stamp dial, right?
Exactly. Yeah, Longo blue dial, 1 year production, Longo 1, white gold. I mean, there's just too many good watches to talk about.
We had one of these, about 6 months ago. It lasted 2 weeks. I think you're the one that sold it, actually. Yeah. And I saw one. I decided to pick up another one. So
actually, I think it was Chris.
Was it Chris? Okay. Yeah. Well, guess what? Then you get to sell this one. And then you guys saw this when I was at the show. Now, before you ask me what the fuck is this, I couldn't pass up. So Wolf of Wall Street, tag for all gold. This thing has almost $10,000 in gold alone, and that's how I bought it. So I figured the worst thing that will happen is I'll melt it.
I just want to ask, what did Adrian say when he saw that watch?
Is there anything else I can show him before we leave?
GigaTurb?
I guess.
Did we show them?
Oh, the GigaTurb, that's right. Actually, I wanted you to explain. So the Frank Mueller GigaTurb, master of all complications, and again, as he still well deserves that title. And this is a humongous tourbillon. Yeah,
there's a reason for it. There's a 20 millimeter, if I'm not mistaken, balance wheel. With it, first of all, it's extremely impressive to have such a large balance wheel, which requires, by the way, we're talking about torque. It requires a lot of power to manage something like that. 2 barrels, 8-day power reserve. By the way, the barrels are huge. But also, you have to factor in the fact that this rotates at a very slow rate. Like you look at it, the kind of rotational force of the balance, I forget what it's called, Jesus Christ, the word is escaping me. The beat rate. The beat rate of the balance is very slow. So it actually allows for the tourbillon to not only basically reject the effects of gravity, but allow it to work more accurately. So the watch is much more accurate than it would otherwise be if it was just kind of a regular tourbillon.
And it takes 2 barrels to get that going now, first and foremost. So therefore, I'm going to thank everyone for tuning in. Thank you, Instagram. Thank you for all the badges. YouTube, thank you so much. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Don't forget to follow Marco and Peter on both of their Instagram accounts. We will see you on the next one. Probably not as big as this, Robin, but stuff comes in.
It's a pleasure to be back.
Yeah, welcome back.